Muhammad, she says, I lived a life of modest means with my husband. There was never any closeness and harmony, and my husband did not have the kind of strong personality that a woman would hope for. By the way, this is one of the characteristics that women look for in men. Have a strong character. Most women, they don't like yes men. Everything she asks for, yes, 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 they'll stop respecting you. They will stop respecting you. I don't know if that's on, I don't know if they're listening to it, but هذا هو, this is the reality. So she's basically saying he didn't have a strong personality that a woman would hope for in a husband. But his good nature made me overlook the fact that I was the one who was responsible for most of the decision making in the family. My husband often used to mention the name of his friend and business partner, and he would talk about him in my presence. You can already see red flags. That's why the Messenger ﷺ, he said that a woman should not describe a woman to her husband. There's a hikmah behind it. What's the hikmah behind it? He starts fantasizing about this woman that you're speaking so positively about. She's like that, and she looks like that, and her hair is like that. And it's not a good idea. So this is what he now would do about his friend. Tables are turned now. Normally it would be a feminine thing to be doing. However, now this man is doing this. So he used to often mention the name of his friend and business partner, and he would talk about him in my presence. And I often used to meet with him in his office, which was originally part of our apartment. This went on for many years, until circumstances led to us exchanging visits with the person and his family. These family visits were repeated, and because of his close friendship with my husband, we did not notice how the number of visits increased and how many hours a single visit would last. He often used to come on his own to sit with us. And my husband, he often used to come on his own to sit with us, me and my husband, for long visits. My husband's trust in him knew no bounds. You know what this reminds me of? There's a saying, right? Don't trust another man with 3 things. One of them, they say, is the car. What do you guys think? Huh? The way you look after a car, it's very different to how someone else will, right? Normally when brother buys a new car, and you see these Uber drivers like that as well, right? They say, listen, when you close the door, close it with what? Ease. Sahih? And then the moment you just do this, it makes a little noise, I told you. What are you doing? And it starts becoming confrontational, and that's when you end up giving him 1 star out of the 5. طيب. The second thing is, they say the cashier. A couple of days ago, I went to grab a takeaway, and then I don't know, the discussion led me to saying this to him. I said, they normally say, and I think my dad is the one who said this, don't trust another with these 3 things. One was your car, and he said, yeah, I agree with that. Second was what? The car. No, sorry, they said the car. The cashier. You know the cashier? They say don't trust another with that. That's why you see some very wealthy men at times sitting at the cashier of their own business. They'll get everyone to do everything but the cashier. Or someone that they trust, like their brother or their, someone who's heavily involved, like you guys go in halves with it. But to just let a random individual, because he might not necessarily be on a wage like you, starts taking things out of the cashier. Is that clear, brothers? What do you think the third is? Your wife. The guy looked at him, he goes, no, I don't, what, my wife? She trusts me. Huh? And I trust her. And I said, I asked him, are you married? He goes, no. I said, talk to me when you get married, inshallah. Talk to me when you get married. What's happening here? He has now begun to trust this individual. So she says, he often used to come on his own to sit with us, me and my husband, for long visits. My husband's trust in him knew no bounds. And as days passed, I got to know this person very well and saw how wonderful and decent he was. I began to feel a strong attraction towards this man. And at the same time, I began to sense that the feeling was mutual. Things took a strange turn after that when I realized that this man was the kind of person I had always dreamed about. Ya salam. Why had he come along now after all these years? Shaitan. The more the man's status increased in my eyes, the more my husband's status diminished. It was as if I had needed to see the beauty of his character in order to discover how ugly my husband's character was. The matter between this person and myself did not go beyond these persistent thoughts, which were occupying my mind night and day. Neither he nor I ever voiced what we felt in our hearts. A love that's maybe considered telepath, huh? Until today. Yet despite that, my life is over and my husband is little more than a weak man with no self-esteem. I hate him and I do not know where all of this hatred came from, or how all of this hatred towards him started to boil over. I wonder how I put up with him all these years, bearing all these burdens myself, facing life's problems on my own. Things got so bad that I asked him for a divorce, and he divorced me at my request. After that, he became a broken man. Even worse than that is that after my marriage was wrecked and my children and husband were devastated, problems arose in this man's family. His wife, with her feminine intuition, realized what had been going on in his heart of hearts, and his life became hell. She was overwhelmed with jealousy to the extent that one night she left her house at 2 a.m. and came to attack my house, screaming, weeping, and hurling accusations. His marriage was also about to collapse. I admit that the lovely gatherings which we used to enjoy gave us the opportunity to get to know one another at a time that was not appropriate at this stage in our lives. His marriage has been wrecked, and so has mine. I have lost everything, and now I know that my circumstances and his will not permit us to take any positive steps towards coming together. Now I am more miserable than I have ever been, and I'm looking for illusionary happiness and lost hopes. Wallahu al-musta'an. Wallahu al-musta'an. ولو أنهم فعلوا ما يوعظون به لكان خيرا لهم وأشد تثبيتا إذا لآتيناهم من لدنا أجرا عظيما ولهديناهم صراطا مستقيما. If only they did what they were commanded with, right, then they would have seen a lot of good, right? You know, it's when I read these kind of real life stories that causes me to really appreciate knowledge. Do you guys agree with that? Can you see how these ahadith that I narrated could have prevented a lot of problems? So knowledge isn't just about, I need to become a scholar. La, it saves you from a lot of problems, from a lot of headache, saves you from heartbreak. Agreed, brothers? Huh?